Hello you wonderful people and welcome back to the Crested Gaming Lounge. In today's video we are gonna take a dive into the worst rated MMORPGs of Steam again. This time we are going to tackle Otherland. This game is based on Tad Williams' critically acclaimed Otherland novels, transformed into a full-scale MMORPG with a new storyline to discover. As we can see from the Steam reviews, we are in for an interesting time. The overall rating of the game is nothing different from what we've seen on our previous look at a poorly rated MMO on Steam. Otherland has a 39% positive rating on Steam. However, 81% of the recent reviews have all been very positive, so I will try and give my honest opinion on this game and not be swayed too much by these scores. Sometimes it can be easy to be swayed by it. I will try my best, okay? I'm not too sure of the premise of the game, more than it seems to be some kind of very sci-fi inspired hub as the main world, and there is numerous simulations, with an air quote, that you can visit to do quests in. In these worlds or simulations, whichever it is, you come in contact with both the world's inhabitants and what is described as players. That is why I get the feeling that these other worlds is some kind of simulation, really. I will say that the environments are very nice looking and aesthetically pleasing, but I will talk more about that later in this review. Character creation. So character creation is very simple in Otherland. You have some basic options like changing skin presets, hair, tattoos and so on. Nothing out of the ordinary from other games. However, that being said, there are some really cool options for skins. You can choose to look like a metamorphic humanoid. It's a very shiny and chrome-looking humanoid with very few features. The classes/roles. The classes in Otherland is Warrior, Assassin, Marksman, and Energizer. All these classes can switch between two different roles or specs. The Warrior, for example, like I play in the footage, can switch between a DPS spec and a tank one. The start leveling areas. The start leveling area is like a simulation that you need to escape. I will say I did not really read up too much on the quests given to me. I only tried to find the main objectives. It might be lazy, but I think that is how most of us play MMOs, unless there's a very strict voice-acted narrative that you can go by. It's a pretty interesting start area with multiple simulations to go through, most of them being paused or corrupted almost by something or someone, it seemed. You have a guide of sorts that helps you, and later on you join up with other players, again, you know, with an air quote, they're not actual players, and you have to help each other to break out of the simulation. After you get back from the simulation, you end up being caught by a gang, or the authorities. Hard to tell, really, since you're put in some kind of prison-like building. You break out of this prison with your new friends and take out the gang or the authorities that runs to stop you. After all this takes place, you make your way to the main hub. There is a massive sci-fi inspired city. Here you get a tour-like quest line to familiarize yourself with the layout, you know, like where's the like vendors and stuff like that. To my surprise, you also get access to a player housing system that can be decorated and expanded upon. I have not seen this in too many MMOs, SWTOR being one, you know, very notable example to name. From what I understand, you go from this main hub or city through a portal to different worlds to do more quests and progress the storyline. When talking on quests, we move on to quests. The quests in Otherland are very basic MMO quests. You kill a certain amount of something or go and fetch an item. At times you get to aid some injured players. But this mostly means go up to them and give them first aid or something along those lines. Gameplay and combat. Okay, now we come to the juicy bit of this game. The gameplay and combat. This is unfortunately where this game falls apart a bit. The overall gameplay is very stale and clunky and feels very dated. The game is, of course, a bit, dated itself. It's from like 2015, I think. But the combat is by far the worst part of this game. It is super awkward, and you keep on missing most enemies. Even though I swing my weapon straight at them, you have like a corsair to aim at them. I did not understand why it felt, like this at first. But after reading one of the recent reviews, it clicked. Most of the enemies cannot be hit unless they notice you first. And sometimes even that was not enough. And you needed to aim in a very specific angle at times to have your swing connect with the enemy. The combat is action combat, which I do like in MMOs when done right. Like in Terra, for example, which is, in my opinion, probably the best action combat system in any MMO out there. Change my mind, okay? Just do it in the comments. This game, however, would have benefited from a rework of the combat or even a conversion over to a tab target system. I think even that could have saved a few points for this game. Bugs and glitches. Right, bugs and glitches. I did not myself encounter too many of these. I had one random crash when loading into my player housing for the first time, but from what I understand, a lot of the people in the recent reviews talked about that they have apparently worked hard on fixing a lot of these bugs and glitches, so that might be why I did not notice too many of them. And the game sometimes freezes a bit when loading. It doesn't crash, it just freezes for a few seconds. It's nothing game-breaking at all. I have heard people saying they got to a point in the game and then cannot log back on after a crash. It's just, they can't just log on at all. It's just completely gone. Audio. The audio in the game is great, I think. The combat audio is kinda meh, but the musical score is superb. It's very like sci-fi punk, but very, very good. Very good. Difficulty and pace of leveling. For my first steps into the game, I did not feel it was very difficult. However, I did notice that if you pull too many mobs at once, and by that I mean like 3 to 4, you're going to have a bad time. I did get close to dying at times, so I guess it's pretty hard in that sense. But in my opinion, this is the level of difficulty an MMO should have. Hard, but not impossible to solo. Pace of leveling was pretty okay, too, in my opinion. It's pretty good. I played the game for about a total of 5 hours and got to level 8. So I think the leveling pace is pretty balanced. There are definitely games out there that has a way quicker or slower leveling, and I think this was a good middle ground for me. Overall opinion. This is always fun. This is always fun. Right, this started out as me trying out one of the worst rated MMOs on Steam, and I will say I do agree that it is not a great MMO, but it is not in any regards a bad game. What I mean with this is that if they fixed up the combat system, I think it would be a very decent MMO with some stunning environments. So I say give this hidden gem, I will call it, a try, and you might be pleasantly surprised. I do not know how active the game is, as I did not encounter any actual players, like real people players, in my leveling journey up to level 8. But there might be some max level diehard fans out there, I do not know. Maybe you will find out if you play the game. So, you wonderful people, that was it for this week's video. Don't forget to boop that like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you like me, consider headbutting that sub button and become a part of the Crested Gaming Lounge. If you can't wait until next week's video, I do also stream over at Twitch TV every Wednesday, Friday and Sunday at 9 PM GMT+1. Link is in the description if you want to go check that out. Until we meet again, I hope you have a great morning, day or night, wherever you might be. See you around, people. Bye bye.